Hey everyone, welcome to your August 2023 reading. Yay, a little bit late, but hopefully worth the wait. So for this reading, what we're going to do as usual is we're going to take a look at what the energies are going to be like throughout the month of August. Of course, these are collective energies if you'd like to work more personally with me and see what your individual energies will be as well, especially as they relate to these collective energies. Definitely you know where to find me. Etsy. All right, but let's jump into this reading already. And I'm getting for this reading, interestingly, there's going to be no energetic healing component. Wow. There always tends to be. Which is fine. But one of the things that I'm picking up already in the collective field from you guys, you, the viewers, who are potentially connected to this video, now whether or not those potentials translate into high or low probabilities based on your free will choices. Neither of us, we don't know, right? But going out to all of you, collectively speaking, there's a lot of guilt. Why am I laughing? Because it's like, wow, guilt is just everywhere. But in particular, I'm feeling a lot of guilt in the throat chakra and the chest area. So interestingly, this feels a little bit like pent up stress, a little bit like anger, like a formidable energy though. But this anger that's here feels very much like as though it's your own aggression that wants to move outward towards others, but is unable to do so. And so that's why it feels very formidable. That's the word that feels right energetically to me. But we don't want those kinds of energies stuck in place, do we, right? Emotions need to be able to flow, especially these major emotions like anger, which is just unmet needs, right? Unmet sad, like unaccompanied sadness, but it's allowed to sit there and be unaccompanied, unwitnessed, unprocessed. And so it kind of escalates into other emotions. But this emotion here is very, very strong. And what I'm getting is it's almost like the guides are asking you to consider, if you're not going to move this energy outward, like letting it flow, maybe you may experience fear that, you know, if you get too angry, you're going to hurt someone, so you try to keep it in. But maybe you don't have the tools, or whatever, for whatever reason, you're just unwilling to kind of work with that anger energy and move it. What's going to happen is that, of course, it's going to sit there, but I also see that it's going to come, it's almost like coming down through the arms and be let out through the hand chakras. That's very, very interesting the way it's saying it. I don't see it coming through the feet. Maybe you might find yourself stomping around or just, you know, whatever's going on. But it's coming through the hands, and I just feel a little bit concerned. Not concerned, but there's concern arising within me as I'm in this space that this energy will express itself through your hands in a way that is harmful to others. So for example, if you are an energy healer and you are working on the fields of other people, but you're not, you know, maybe you're getting your flows mixed up and you're not allowing the flow of universal energy to flow through you. Instead, you're kind of like having your own anger leak into that. You can imagine that you'll be contaminating the field of someone else. Also, for somebody here, you know, when we store a lot of anger in our hands and when anger is flowing out, you may push somebody. You may be very like grabby or handsy with something, whether you take a pillow and punch it or, you know, because this is about moving the energy. So let's take a quick informational moment and check in with ourselves. What idiom would you, well, no, let's, sorry, that's such a language approach to this question. Let's ask it this way. Where do you feel your anger in your body? Okay. Where do you feel your anger in your body? And I'll just give you two examples. I remember I asked this to my students one day in the classroom, not healing related. And I said, hey guys, where do you note your anger? And their answers were very varied. And I remember one person said, I feel it in my blood. And I was like, oh God. This is somebody who's enraged on the inside. So if you say somebody, if your anger makes your blood boil, for example, well, that's also a little bit of a heads up of what you're doing to your body, what your anger is doing to your body. And eventually, we get health issues related to these things. So go ahead and take a moment for yourself, maybe a second or two. Okay, so I hope that and you could always pause if you need more time, but I hope that you can kind of get an idea. I'm picking up feedback-wise that some of you may actually feel anger in different parts of your body. I'm feeling in the upper back area. It's like spotted in the upper back area. So, spotted. Interesting that they said that. So maybe you may have back knee or back knee. I don't think that's the official term, but you may have back knee, for example. I'm getting out of breath talking right now, so I think that a lot of you may be experiencing anger. The corresponding anger that I'm feeling with being out of breath is in the stomach area, as well as the heart area, so lungs, all of that. It's affecting, because this is energy. It's like pressing against our energetic organs, because yes, you do have energy anatomy, right? So it's all kind of pressing there. I also got that somebody in particular feels like a masculine energy. It's like, I don't get angry. But what I'm picking up from your field in particular, whoever you are, God bless you, and if you're not this one person, it could also be you. You don't have to be this guy that I'm picking up on, but I'm picking up on a masculine energy in particular, where your anger is rerouting itself through the energy leakages in your knees. And so there are joints there, synovial joints. I just love saying that. I just had to say that, and my life is complete. Synovial joints. Anyway, in your knees there. And so that energy is being like puffs of clouds. And your energy field is pale. There's a pallor to your field. So what I'm getting is that you feel anger, but it's almost like, I would say, as your friendly local energy healer, like, where's your anger going? Where is this going? And the lack of seeing it so much in your field is something to discuss, because it's like, well, where is this anger going then? It's there. You've got to have an energy leak or two somewhere, right? And so obviously we want to experience our anger and allow it to flow out. So one of the things that I guess we are discussing during the month of August, or that we'll be taking a look at in the month of August, is the flow of emotion. As I told you earlier, I was feeling a lot of guilt in the field. So a good way to counteract or work with that guilt as it's coming up, I heard guilt suppression. So for a lot of you, you may actually need assistance in allowing that guilt to surface. And so there are cognitive tools that you can do. There are journaling can help a lot of you get in touch with these feelings. I'm getting that for some of you, your spirit teams have you covered already. They're going to direct you specifically, I'm seeing, to certain shows on TV or certain news stories or whatever that's going to get your ire. That's so interesting that they're saying verbatim, catch your eye and get your ire up, right? Get your ire, though. They didn't put the up. I just added up. And so in other words, they're going to put things in front of you to trigger your feelings, your guilt, your anger, things like that. And the question is, once these emotions arise within our field and we become consciously aware of them, what tools do you have in place to process them in a healthy way? So that gives you an opportunity, once these energies, whatever they are, come up for you, to take a look at how that happens. Do you get memories along with it? Do you get stomach aches? Do you just lash out? Do you just notice yourself acting out of character? Do you feel a certain type of way? Do you slip right into your inner child and notice that you just want hugs all day? Do you disappear? Are you becoming sensitive to the energies of other people? Do you notice you don't want to work anymore, like behavioral changes? Or do you just notice that you're saying things and it's like, wow, I just said that to that person, like I can't believe I said that, but I'm kind of glad I did? And do you justify certain, like a lot of times people struggle to really manage their emotions, and they end up hurting a lot of people, and they may justify it to themselves as, well, it needed to come out, it needed to be said, I'm speaking my truth, I'm being true to me. And that's a little bit toxic in my personal opinion. I see that a lot online, especially on Instagram and things like that, where there's this culture of speaking your truth, and well, it's up to the other person to really process their emotions, and don't make me responsible for what I'm saying. And there is some truth to that. However, there's also some untruth to that, and I'm just putting it out there. It's not to offend anybody or to make anyone feel a certain type of way about themselves, but just reminding you that, well, everybody has the same 24 hours in their day. Everyone has free will, and free will as interpreted by the creator from the higher perspective. Down here, we have different ideas about these things, but just understand that there is some level of equality in the playing field that we may not be able to perceive of. And that being said, there is responsibility for how you choose to use your energy in this world. And always remember, that based on your core beliefs, deeply embedded, sometimes for lifetimes, I'm just saying that that's what I see as an energy healer, based on your core belief, you will have perceptions that align with those core beliefs. So if you, for example, believe in the idea that some people are better than others, and I mean very, very deeply embedded, and I think that most people have this idea of quote unquote special relationships. For example, yeah, of course I value my mom more than a local mailman. That's just a quick example. Oh, blood is thicker than water. Oh, well, this person, and then we see it in other ways, like, oh, this person's got 4 master's degrees, so maybe they're better than this person who's pumping my gas. These are all different manifestations, ideological, policy, principle manifestations of a core belief in, some people being better than others. We see this play out on the world stage every day, and in our houses, in ourselves. But the problem with a belief in inequality on such a deep core level of your field, and I'm talking beyond the conscious mind, I'm talking in your energetic field, auric field, in different levels of your energy bodies, right? Not just the physical body level. What happens is that core principle becomes the drive, the primary lens through which you see your world. And so, for example, if you have that belief, you're going to see your world in duality. And the question is, what does that duality look like? And that duality looks like a value statement. Some things are better than others. Some people are better than others. And so you, of course, wanting to be loved and believing in inequality and conditional love, because that's what that is basically, you're going to want to fall on the loved side of things. And to you, from that principle, that core belief, the loved side of things goes for the people who are better. This is a superiority, inferiority thing. But the truth is, from a higher perspective, from the reality of things, when you really open your perceptions and you move from this 3D limited mindset into interdimensional awareness, you start to realize there is only one. If there's only one, that means there's no short and there's no tall, because that's duality, right? So there's no superior, there's no inferior, because that's duality. So there's only one. You, and you and I, and I'm representing you, and you're representing me. So you see how deeply that goes? So long story short, if you have a core belief in duality, and that manifests for you in the flavor of superiority, inferiority, you're going to want to shun anything that is inferior because it is your birthright and your internal desire to be loved. And you're going to want to do things in your life and gravitate towards things in your life that align with your unconscious belief in inferiority and superiority. So when you're out in the world, your everyday life, looking around, making choices. You're making value statements based on this core belief. And this core belief is wrong, by the way, as A Course in Miracles will tell us, like from page 10 or something, very early on. So basically, you're walking around projecting a lens of conditional love, and you are trying to fit yourself into this framework, but you cannot really, because you're saying that in some cases you're better, and in some cases you're not. And so in your mind you have a reality that you've created, by the way, that inferiority is a reality. And you don't want that. So anybody who seems inferior to you, and as informed by your culture, your family, your lifetimes, things like that, it's just confirmation bias. So you're going to move throughout the space trying to have a drive for your life that keeps you in this positive mindset for you. Like, I'm superior. I'm doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's my culture and my religion and my family and blah, blah, blah tells me is right. And then you're going to want to please people, like your parents and your society, by staying on that side. And guess what? You're going to punish those or treat others differently who seem to fall outside of that reality that you've created on some level of your field from your core misbelief that's wrong, right? You're going to treat others in ways that aren't so good. You're going to favor some over others, and what's even worse is that you're going to do the same to yourself. So when you're moving from this space of either or, you're going to deny the parts of yourself that fall into this category. That's the denial. That brings the shadow, because in your mind you cannot occupy both an inferior and an inferior and a superior place, because no, that would be too painful. Because if you see that you're inferior by your own estimation, then you're now casting yourself into identifying with and embodying what you know is not right, is not desirable, is probably disgusting, is probably right. So you see how these energies start to build up. This is the split that creates illness later on down the line. Notice the light just clicked on. Later on down the line, when you're in your physical body, when it hits the physical field, it's in there already, right? Now we need to really do certain things with the physical doctors and do things with our body to create that balance or to counter that healing. But long story short, if you have a core misbelief in duality like that, you're going to create a schism in your mind. And that's the birth of your shadow that you deny because it's too shameful. And that is also the groundwork for you moving throughout the space that you have incarnated into in this lifetime, making value judgments based on what makes sense to you. Well, it makes sense to me that I would do this rather than that, because like, who wants to do that? And I don't want, right? So you're going to make that, things are going to seem logical to you based on this unconscious principle. Things are going to feel right. I don't know, it just feels really right to be with this person. You know, I can't explain it, but I just know I want to spend the rest of my life with him. It makes sense. It feels right. And every part of my body was just saying yes. It's like, you know he's serving life in prison, right? I know, but so what are we doing here? That's an extreme example. But that's an extreme example. But we do it every day. With friendships, with partners, co-workers, jobs, this and that. We're out in the world, moving in a way that is informed by a principle that is not real. It's not love-based. The minute you're making value judgments, we're off, right? And so the point that they're trying to say, and that's why when you look at it from those higher perspectives and you take into consideration the different lifetimes, the different dimensions, the different, whatever's going on beyond this physical world, which is empty by comparison. When we say things like guilt and shame are useless emotions, they are. And that's why when you see a lot of these NDE stories, near-death experience stories, when they come back and they tell their stories, there's usually a universal thread. And one of the things that they tend to say is the first thing that left are these kinds of feelings. As they expanded their consciousness, then they felt themselves becoming bigger and everything was known all of a sudden. And they realized that they gave themselves this ailment because they had a belief. It's always going to come down to a belief. So this is not to necessarily like open up this whole can of worms of thought and whatever in this reading, but if you follow this channel, you notice that the guides talk about this a lot, because part of learning to become aware of your multidimensional reality is so important, which is so important. It is important for you to understand the very simple statement: you are not just your physical body. That's it. Your physical reality is not the true reality. Okay? And these are statements that just roll off the tongue like, okay, well, I just slapped myself. I felt that. Yes. But I want you to know that the energetic conditions in your field, the higher levels, locked into place based on a core belief you have somewhere in there, things just fell into place and boom, like the butterfly wing that becomes a hurricane. Now you've slapped yourself. Now you've had that accident. Now you've taken that course for this learning. Now you've done this. So the question is, if I'm just receiving down here and I'm moving to a certain tune, well, what is my power in where I am, and what am I here for? What can I do down here? Well, what you can do is counter what's going on. You have free will down here to a certain degree. You are receiving the momentum of all sorts of things, and based on the momentum in your energy field that's already going, based on your past lifetimes, based on what's going on for you each day, based on just this life, based on your soul curriculum, your momentum's going. You have different things in your field that are just giving out signals to the universe and literally, as a result, populating your reality based on your energy. And my guides stay spending all day saying that's your own energy. I'm like, what? That's your own energy. I'm like, that clutter pile. And they're right. Because whenever I do an energy clearing, the clutter pile goes, right? So it's your own energy. So what you can do from this vantage point is understand that your power lies in your perception. So basically, I would say here, living on this planet is kind of like a hall of mirrors. You went into this hall of mirrors, and the idea is, you said you wanted to come down. Among many things we said things, but one of the things you said, you wanted to come down and see what you can do to collect yourself, to hopefully remember your goodness, your birthright, your sovereignty, your agency. And boop, they dropped you in. And they're like, okay, well, you're going to go in there and you're just going to see a whole bunch of things representing you. Simply stated, what do you want to have be a part of your reality, and what do you not? And of course, you have to take a look. Well, if you want that guy over there, for example, who's serving life and will never come out, but and this is a very extreme example, I understand that, but it's out there. Everything is out there. And you're like, but this guy loves me. I love him. I could feel him, but you've never met. Yeah, but something, I think he's my soulmate. Like, red flag. Okay? That's a flag to you to take a look and be like, okay, I'm getting a desire pop up within. What do I get if I fulfill this desire? Is what I get something that's ego-based, or is it something that's serving humanity? Is there evidence of love that's unconditional to the best of our ability? Is there evidence of community? Is there evidence of equality, equal exchange? Is there evidence of growth? Is this energy generative, right? Or is this feeding something within me? Is there compulsion energy? Is it getting a fix off of this guy or this job or this title that I have? Or what is it? And so while you're down here, it's really a consciousness exercise, but it's made physical. So you're a spiritual being, God bless, super cute, your spirit having a very physical experience, and they're putting in the words, and the joy, I'm just like, no, but okay. And the joy of it from a higher perspective is the ability to have this exercise, to see what you do with it, to see what choices you make, to see where your principles are. Because if your heart is activated and it's cosmic heart, there it is. If your voice, they're so good. If your heart is activated, and I'm talking a frequency. I'm not saying, I fed the poor, I do this, I do that. You can do all of that, and yes, someone's eating, but where's your heart? Where's your heart? Let's measure the energy there. Because the same person doing the most philanthropy could also be the deadest person inside, the person who's giving the least authenticity, they're the least of a conduit for the flow of higher frequency energies. Christ energies, not religious. Christ consciousness refers to an energetic designation and has nothing to do with religion, just so you know. But anyway, so you ask yourself, are my desires, are my thoughts, are my abilities, they're talking about abilities now. Abilities are like, it's like technology. Wow, you've got this gun. What do you do with it? Are you using it to feed your family? Thanking the earth, thanking the animals, giving grace, or using it to hurt somebody because fill in the blank. There's so many. What do you do with it? You have abilities. What are you doing with it? What's powering your ability? The desire to be known, to be famous, to feel like you're valid, to feel like, even stuff like I made a difference. Where is that coming from? What does your difference look like? Do you need people to know that it was you who did it? You see what I mean? These are things that we have to look at. And I'm not making value judgments here and saying, one's right, one's wrong, whatever. This is about you in your reality, really vetting yourself and taking a look at where your heart space is. And I will tell you this, as they said earlier, voice. Your voice will show the love. And I know that sounds strange to a lot of people. I'm not talking like, hey, how are you? Come inside. Yes, it sounds warm, but guess what? So did that evil witch who invited in Hansel and Gretel, right? Come, children, come, let us eat, let us fest, whatever she said. I wasn't there. Right? But so it's a frequency. It's a tone. Sometimes someone will be like, I love that person's tone. But what they don't realize is the frequency of that tone strikes a familiarity within a shadow side of them. Ask them, what do you like about that person's tone? There's a difference between, like they'll say, it's so authoritative and I just love how this person gets things done, right? Yeah, but you have to feel into that. Maybe that's something only like maybe if you can feel the energies, you can see. Sometimes that falls on the side of, yeah. And sometimes it falls on the side of, okay, you actually are carrying a repressed memory or energy of being dominated, and somehow you've come on some level of your field to associate that with being protected because it came through a father figure, right? So these are things that they run so deep within the field, and sometimes we can't really get to that level of discernment, is the word, without switching to our faculties, our clairs, our clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairgustance, is that another one? All of those things, And then even then, those are just also receptors. So when those energies, when you receive that, when you hear something, when you feel something, you still have to look at that and really make those value judgments, because you can hear things all day. I tell you, I hear things all day. And you have to learn what to count out. What's your fear voice? What's your harsh inner critic? What's that energy that's just hanging around like, dude, you're still here, it's time to move on, right? What is coming from someone else in your household? What is connected to the object that you just picked up? What is just an impression that's resonating and floating around in your field because you watched that show last night and it's still in there? What's the voice of your angel? What voices tell people to kill people all the time, for a long time? Voices tell people to no longer patronize a shop because that person has a different ideology than them. Voices will have people saying, go ahead and just let them cry out. They'll learn about the world. So the question that we're getting to today is, I create space here. And the reason why they did that whole exercise, it may feel a little bit like loop-de-loop, but the reason why they did that is because they're saying we want to get to the heart. So this month, interesting, look at that card. This month, the question is, what is the state of your heart? Because your heart, I'm talking in the heart chakra area, very, very, very important part of the body. It's a generator. It connects the higher and lower chakras. It literally informs the rest of your field. If your heart frequency is not high, is not as high as it can be, if it's not vibrating at levels of bliss, of joy, blah, 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 what that means, and that's pretty much everybody, we all have different parts. Like one part of the heart may be like, yeah, but then over here we've got a part that is going through some things from different lifetimes, and it comes across darker, or it comes across mangled, or just whatever. But what's going on in that, and so we need to clear that, right? What's going on in this space is going to inform it. First of all, it's going to reflect your core beliefs, and then it's going to inform energetically the quality of what it is that you think, what it is that you see out in the world, what it is that you feel, what your gut reactions are going to be, right? So this is why when we go with the book, I love the book, A Course in Miracles. If you know, you know. It's such a great book. Oh my God. Anyway, it talks about the reality that all is love. The only thing that is real is love. Everything is love. It's a frequency. It's an energy. It's a fabric of all there is. But then we've got the belief in fear. So you could see that is a very early on duality. Very, very early on in your field. And from there precipitates the world that you see today. And so anytime that you're healing anything here, whether it's in the physical body or, in your energy field, all you're doing is you're getting clear on the multidimensional reality of what is. So as you make your way through your lifetime, you're having experiences, and those experiences will trigger things within you. And well, when you're ready to look at it and you feel safe enough to do so and you have a good vantage point, look at it. Continue to process it. Ask Spirit to make its way in there and to assist you. You have medical teams with all sorts of trained professionals, excellent professionals on your team, and also working with modalities that are not even on this planet yet. So I'm just letting you know, you have these people at your disposal. So or beings, they may not all be human beings, right? But it doesn't matter. They're all light, right? And so just, call on them, ask for assistance so they can continue to assist you in a more conscious way because they're already assisting you. Anyway, so in this month, my question to you is, what is the state of your heart? And what are you doing to take a look at your heart? What scares you? Do you believe, everybody should be equal, but some people are, and then fill in the blank. Do you believe that you have a right to a life of safety? But I can understand why. Right, where's the split in your thinking? Do you give so much to others, but you don't really like to receive? That's a clear sign that the giving, you need to look at that. If you're not able to give to yourself, but you're giving to others, imbalance. And that's a shadow you need to look at. We all do, right? Libras. We're all like, hi. My many placements in Libra. But I'm working on it. Libra, balance, 34 minutes, 34 seconds, right? Pisces, good Lord. Okay. Cancer, Cancerian energies, yeah? Look at this, earth healing. Spirit is saying earth is a school. We know that. God bless. God bless. At least that's what we think we know at this point. Who knows, right? When our consciousness expands, we'll have different thoughts. That's why the guides maintain ideological flexibility is a must in a world like this, so that you don't create energetic structures that are too rigid for even you to get out of, right? So malleability in the ideological space is good. Learn, apply, process, adjust. Okay, but as you're saying here, right now, and in the month of July, we've been really doing some heavy work, collectively speaking, on the inner child. A lot of you, your inner child has been coming up a lot. Pisces, I've actually finished your reading already. It's just that I'm releasing an astral reel a day, 35 minutes, 35 seconds. So by the time you watch this video, if you watch it before Pisces, I just want to, before watching the Pisces video, just want to let you know that they do want you to take a look at your inner child, for Pisces in particular, because your inner child is definitely reeling from a lot of what's going on. They may not be the only ones. It could be a lot of you right now. Take a look at your steps, guys. Are you feeling out of control in any area of your life? Are you running, hiding? Are you even talking in a higher pitched voice, a baby voice? Are some of you losing your articulation? Are you getting down to one word answers? Are things catching in your throat when you're talking to your boss? Look at all of these things. This is evidence that should be basically treated as invitations to inquiry. The point is, do you feel safe enough to take a look at these things? And so that's why it's important that you use your discernment as best as you can to make sure that you're working with somebody who can assist you by holding the space for you, whether that's a licensed therapist, whether that's a vetted friend or family member. I'm not talking someone who's going to go off the rails and, we know those people. Those people are there for shock value, for drama, and they may really love you and really want you to see the light, quote unquote. But if they're unable to be an objective listener in that space, and if they're unable to call upon meaningful tools for you to kind of navigate this space without dispossessing you of your power, without missing certain cues, then maybe they might not be the person for you. Okay? Anyway, this is just in general. So when the guides talk about these kinds of dynamics, like basically it just boils down to, well, okay, we create our own reality in many ways, and we certainly, through our reactions and responses and our observations or lack thereof of all of that, are creating further conditions that we have to navigate. And sometimes maybe the lesson, it comes in learning, okay, well, I have to keep my head out of the sand. Well, I have to choose better next time. Well, I have to give myself rest and allow myself to reach out when I'm ready. Well, these are just things that we're picking up along the way. There's no expectation for perfection, by the way. The idea is just to give progress, to have progress somewhere. And it all starts with allowing yourself to observe, having the ideological openness to understand on some level, like, okay, what is this idea that I'm basically able to glean about myself from my environment? And what would that mean? How do I look at that? Do I consider whether there are some things that I'm uncomfortable that I see outside? Why does that make me uncomfortable? Are there some things that I value, but I feel that I don't have or can never have or shouldn't have? And like, even making that distinction sometimes takes time, but you can do it. The point is, as long as you're alive on this planet, there's always a chance to make some conscious movement forward. So in this month, not only will we be asking ourselves to take a look at the heart space, we will be observing how the heart renders us. Does it render you weak? Does it render you confused? Does it render you blind, right? As soon as someone comes in, are you like, right? How do you deal with truth? How do you deal with truth? Sometimes the way you deal with truth, if you deal with it at all, may be something to look at. Does your truth often land in the heart? If someone comes to you and they're like, well, this is true, look at this and look at that, and you see the statistics and you see the research and you see the person who says they have all this experience, but does it feel true in the heart space? Can you see ego? Can you distinguish ego from, what you see before you, what you're hearing? Can you see that, a lot of, for example, characters in our mainstream media and celebrities are embodying principles of egoic and, maybe necessarily because they're literally paid to be personalities, right? Literally. But even the characters in our beloved TV shows, would they be safe for us to be around? Are their mannerisms gaslighty, we shouldn't throw around words like narcissistic and sociopathic and all of that unless you really have an understanding of how that's defined. But would you feel safe with having your child in reality around that? But yet you're dressing like them and you're saying things like them and you're being inspired by them. Whole generations are were informed by Sex and the City, for example. But not every show has the word shameless on its title. At least with this show Shameless, which was such a good show, by the way. But anyway, at least we understood that these were a cast of characters that were, they were clearly not awesome people, but we love the characters nonetheless. But there are other shows that whole generations emulate because now they think that's the way to engage with the opposite sex and to structure your life and to approach your humanity and your family. So this is calling up for us in the month of August to really take a gentle approach to observing the self. And in that observation, the question is, where do I ground myself? And that's the practice. Practice grounding yourself in the heart space. But obviously that practice is going to have to come with discernment. What is of the heart space and what is not? And this, my friend, is where we cross into the threshold. I guess that's why we have this contract there, where we start to understand that living multidimensionally from a conscious mindset requires multidimensional strategies. In other words, it requires you to reach in to your higher self, to call upon your higher self so that you can access a higher perspective. You may need to call in your medical professionals on your spirit team. Get to know your spirit guides. And I'm not saying go out into the middle of the forest, light candles, this and that. You know how I feel about these things. I think that what you can really just need to at basic do is keep it simple. If you're watching this video and you're like, wow, you know what, this is interesting, and I got time. Well, I'm interested. If there's more to this life and more to what I'm seeing than what I see in the physical body. If I look at my hand and I'm seeing this, but I understand that actually there's a slightly bigger hand and then a bigger hand and a bigger hand and a bigger hand, and it's all me, and I just can't see it because I'm not tuned in there. I have to learn to tune in. Then universe, teach me. Please teach me in a way that I can be receptive to it, that I can feel comfortable with it, that I can understand it. The universe can do this, but your job is to get out of the way. And the problem is that we have so much conditioning on this planet about what is right and what is wrong, what's good, what's evil. We've got people who've been killed and killed other people in different lifetimes because of witch stuff, because of religious stuff, and then we've got people struggling under the weight of health and poverty, consciousness, and all sorts of stuff. So you see, we've got all these things kind of in the way. But a quick example is if you're thinking, okay, well, universe, I'm saying, just ask Spirit for assistance. But even you, the listener, will be like, Spirit, okay, dear God, and automatically you have an idea that God is a patriarchal figure. He's probably anthropomorphized, and then he's probably conditional, so he'll value you on your knees and your hands, and I can't approach, I can only ask, and I can't do this, and I can't, that's you. From an energetic standpoint, that's you saying you would like to be shown something, you'd like to be open, and then approaching it from a very limited mindset. And then there are others who will just say, okay, ask and I shall find. All right, I'm interested. And then I'll go about my business. And if I may say, That's the way to do it. 44 minutes, 44 seconds. That's the way to do it. All right, show me something. I'm interested. Go about your business. Don't put anything else on it. You don't have to hop on one leg. You don't have to light 10 candles. You don't have to circle 3 times. All of those things are exercises of you with your judgments adding more drama onto a moment. And what you're doing is you're adding energy. You're conditioning your field to give meaning to this moment. And in fact, that's not the way it should be. When you're starting to learn about something, it's just like a cute little baby with a remote control. Dear God, give me that. Just kidding. That's me grabbing it. No, they're not like, oh, remote control. It's a gateway to all the social ills on TV. And then it's also, I can find love and I can see these wonderful characters and wow, and it can give me comfort after a break. They're not going with all that stuff. They're just like, boop, 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 boop. Play with it, bite it, move on. That's it. Play with it, bite it, move on. And what I find is when we create the conscious mind request, I'm interested. Show me something that I can handle and that would, be of benefit to me. And then you go about your business. You're there in the middle of washing your car, or I don't know what people are doing these days, watering your plant, and then something just drops in to your head. And it's like, huh? And that's different from what you usually feel. And the guides are saying that they use tactics too. They use a special tactic of familiarity. I'm going to say that word. Familiarity. Where they will induce an energy within you that will feel familiar. And guess what? So I just hit that. And guess what? It'll touch your heart. And they're saying the familiarity that you're going to feel is the familiarity of love-based connection from another time and place. Where? You don't know, because your conscious mind is like, I don't know. But it will feel familiar. This is the kind of heart connection that they're going to induce for us in this month. So even though we sit and we're like, well, to be in the heart, maybe we should consider being compassionate. I always talk about those things, compassionate and but even that we have to wonder what's healthy compassion, right? So you see how that can also be an exercise in the mind. But when you invite spirit in, they can work outside of the mind and the physical, and they can enter into your heart. In fact, they're already there. They're like pieces, what's up? And they can boop. It's almost like poke, and you'll feel it. You'll feel it out there. You will know when you feel it, by the way. It's not going to be something like, did I just? No. You're going to be like, I just felt something. And it felt so familiar, and I don't really know, but I think I know. And depending on your level of comfort with such things, which you may say you're comfortable on a conscious mind level, but when you chat with me, for example, I'll see very clearly, oh, you're actually not comfortable because you're afraid of this, because you have religious persecution in your past and blah, blah, blah. So maybe they won't show you through clairvoyance. You won't have the angel standing at the foot of my bed moment, that I saw it, because they know that it would scare you. But some of you may be more open to it. Even if you think you're not, you may be, right? So the point is they're saying, and sometimes they do acknowledge that sometimes people do have a little baptism by fire with those things. It's like, oh my God, I just looked down and there was this guy standing at the foot of my bed and I can tell he was a ghost, but he was shadowed and what was going on? And it may cause them stress and whatnot. And that's in their soul curriculum, however that is, or what's going on there is the realm of a personal reading. But they're saying that in this lifetime, that's for someone in this lifetime in particular, in this lifetime, and if you're on this call and you're feeling called and you're interested through this reassurance of the golden light, through this video, they're saying yours is not going to be a journey filled with pain like that. They're talking especially to that some of you, the persecution energy templates that you've gone through in a lot of lifetimes. It would be triggered by these kinds of things because in those lifetimes you were persecuted for these kinds of things. But this is not that is old world thinking through the human brain that is even more limited than today. trying to understand and put into context something that everybody truly is multidimensional, but the mindset of humanity is just not there, let alone the heart space. 49 minutes, 49 seconds. So at this point, there are people who are awakening. They're reaching certain frequencies within their field where higher consciousness can now make its way in and be allowed in and have an ideological framework within which it can kind of smoothly land. And some people have the ideological flexibility and openness to catch that coming in as it comes, right? So this is what this is about. When you are evolving and ascending and your consciousness is expanding, it's a combination of quite a few things. It's your ability to receive, your desire to receive, your comfort level with what is being received, any soul agreements that are happening. We have to look at the energetic conditions as well. Like if you have a lot of ghosts in your area, wayward spirits, if you live in a place where there's a lot of geopathic stress, the guides may not really use that as a moment to reach out to you, because then you can get too confused. All sorts of stuff. The conditions, they're saying, if this call is for you and this message is for you during this month, there may be a component for you. In addition to doing the heart space work and all that, some of you may have a component where they will reach out to you in this spiritual, energetic way, is the word they just said. And they're asking me to highlight the werewolf for you. Now let me go grab my that's me going to grab it, my animal book. I have not brought it out in a long time, by the way. Werewolves, that's funny. I want to say, I'm thinking wolf and they're saying werewolf. J werewolf. Interesting. Now that could be some of you may actually have been watching werewolf stuff, so that could be like a tap on the shoulder. But when we think about the wolf, 51 minutes 51 seconds, I'm going to tell you about the wolf as it has appeared in my life. Whenever the gray wolf appears in my life, it's always helping me to not to see into the unknown, but to venture into the unknown, to have comfort in the unknown. It's like, oh, thank you. It's like the constant companion in the dark moments. And it's funny that I just said thank you because they reminded me that on the Hermit card, that's what we see a lot of times, not in all decks, but with the Hermit card, you often see him with a wolf of some sort. Right? And so that's the idea. So when we think about the werewolf, it almost makes me feel like they're referencing the idea that this is a time for you to embody that mystical side of you. It's like you are the wolf and your awareness is expanding to the point where you're no longer necessarily looking for those outside things, because you realize 52 minutes 52 seconds that it's within you. So think about the wolf, the spirit of the wolf merging with the human to become look at this struggle. Why am I struggling to merge my hands? To become They're like, you have one job, literally, Jonelle, just kidding, but to become the werewolf, right? They're laughing, I'm laughing, but also that moment, because, once we press play, nothing is accidental, but that moment is showing, because I just looked up, it was like, 43 minutes, 53 minutes 11 seconds or something like that. The energy there was kind of like a reminder that when that merging process starts, it could be a little bit of a bumpy ride. Now, one of the bumpy ride moments of that merging process, that merging with embracing the part of you that can venture into the unknown. Now, another way of saying that is you learning to accept the mystery, you coming to a place of readiness to move forward even though you don't know what's going on. But what's actually happening is that you are accepting a more conscious and a larger, more conscious awareness of what you already are. You're the damn wolf. You didn't know you were the wolf. I just thought the wolf was outside of me. But one of the biggest blocks to this moment that would make it a little bit hard to kind of get in there for you, or to have that merging or that elevation process or that expansion, mental expansion, ideological expansion, is that you may they're saying shrinking violet. Some of you may be a shrinking violet in such moments. You start to have stirrings in the soul and it scares you. You start to see things differently, and you're not ready to step outside of the framework that you've created for yourself and you've allowed for yourself. A lot of you are carrying around social frameworks, and of course we can say socio-political, socio-economic, all those blah blah blah, socio-spiritual, whatever you want to say. You have socio-cultural, basically. You have those frameworks that you have been you've cultivated basically just by being a part of these systems, and you've never questioned. And many of you may have benefited from your place in these systems. When you are in a position to benefit from the system that you're within, whether it's because you look the part, maybe your race is what it needs to be in that system, maybe your education level is that, maybe your possessions is that, whatever it is, it kind of makes it a little bit harder for you to step outside of that cushy spot, to question. And sometimes we think, a lot of people will think, oh, well, they'll only question when they start to feel how everybody else is feeling, when they're not benefiting from that, right? Whether it's an economic system, a racial class, and a caste system, whatever, a religious system. Discrimination is all throughout the world, and it comes in many shapes and forms. It could be as simple as you're the only kid who has straight hair and everybody else has full red curly hair, and now you're the outcast, right? And you don't feel like you belong. And as trivial as that may be for some people, for those living that, it could be a nightmare, right? And so the point that they're saying is if you are in a system where you're benefiting from it, you're being privileged by it, you may have less of an incentive to step outside of that unless, wait for it, the heart space is activated. So part of this reflection, they're saying, this is why this is multidimensional healing. The considerations occur on multidimensional levels, multiple levels of your field. And so this is another thing they're saying. Something that you can do is start by understanding what society are you in, who are you in this society, how accepted are you, and how accepted do you feel. Those are two different questions. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? What do you think you could be or do or have or say to operate or to occupy a higher place in that system? And what would you have to be, do, have, or say to occupy a lower space? And what system would you actually like to belong to? And what would be obstacles for you, if any, and there always is something, stepping outside of this system or this framework? Some people are born into a whole family that that they're all doctors, for example. And this one kid says, I just want to sing songs. I don't want to be an engineer, Dad. I just want to dance. Let me dance, And that's a trauma. And for them, stepping outside of that may not make sense to a lot of people. Why would you want to be a dancer when you could just be excelling, making six figures, right? So there's a trauma there. So two people, quote unquote, awakening into a more conscious awareness of their multidimensionality is going to look different. And so that's why we can't really judge another person's journey. And one of the main things that we understand in the age of Aquarius is that it is an inside job, number one. Transformation has always been an inside job, and it'll continue to be so. But now as we move forward, finally the conditions of the age where the guru is no longer at the central figure, the institutions are crumbling in and of themselves and being exposed, right? And the community, age of Aquarius, is starting to become a focal point. Taking care of the earth is a focal point. Taking care of the self, of the mental health, of all these things is starting to be looked at in a more serious way. Because whatever was going on before wasn't working. But on top of that, it's starting within. So starting within is the place. And the guides are pulling you down, 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 down into the heart space. So as they said, as early back as I think December, January of 2023, they were saying it. The heart is what you need to tap into. And I'm not talking about, the heart, the heart, the heart, all this stuff, and this is another one, the heart. They're not talking about that. they're talking about cultivating an energetic frequency within the heart space. And as you can see, when we're doing that kind of healing, it's not just on one level in the physical body, because now we're doing open heart surgery, right? What are we doing? We don't need to do that right now, right? We are looking at the different levels. What is the heart chakra like? How can we access that at the mental level of the field? Let me sit down and do some journaling. Let me do some reading. Let me think it out. What does that feel like at the emotional level of the field? Let me feel into that. What's going on? Oh my God. I touched this doorknob and I just started sobbing. Why? What does this mean? Right? What does it mean at the astral level? What does it mean at the other levels of the field? This is going to call for different types of awareness. You're going to have to ask, your angels and guides to help you out. They're always here. They're watching you watch this video. They'll send you to certain remedies. I keep saying the Bach remedies because I think a lot of people know those. That's not going to help you in the physical. It's going to help you in the emotional body. What if your wound is really deep and it's in the emotional body? To heal the wound at that level of the field, you gotta use a modality that can get in there. I don't think a physical scalpel is going to get in there. It won't. It'll get into the physical body. And maybe you'll heal whatever's going on in the physical body, but you will still have that root cause at the level of the field that needs the healing. 1 hour, 1 minute, 11 seconds. So a lot of you who are watching this are possibly multidimensional healers already. You may understand this, you may not. Who knows? You may get into it later in your life. You may have done it many lifetimes and now you're serving in another way. Who knows? But you've got these abilities, Everyone has the ability to feel into themselves, to get quiet, to start the journey towards self-awareness in a more expanded way. Now, some people may have more blockages to doing that than others, but that's their journey. And when they open up their soul curriculum, they'll be like, oh yeah, I see it. But I'm right on target for where I am. But no matter where you find yourself, it all starts with a looking up and a looking in, right? And then a certain detachment to the outcome. Drama-free. What does drama-free look like? I think a lot of people struggle with this. What does drama-free look like? Let's say you're getting in touch with yourself. You don't have to go out there and buy all these clothes and I'll do all this and tell all your guest girlfriends, guys, I'm going to do this thing. I'm trying this new thing where I'm like, you don't need all that's drama. As the guides have said before, drop the drama. Get rid of it. Because what is in the drama? The drama is storytelling. What's in the story? The details. What's in the details? The victim, the person who needs the validation, the poverty consciousness idea, the martyr syndrome. All of those are going into the details. You want to sit down and you want to connect? Sit down, connect. That's it. Sit down, do your best, then get on with your life. And let them come to you. It's so simple. Now I say it's very simple because it is. Because if you're complicating it, the complication in the explanation is because we need to get around all of the different energetic structures in your field, the belief systems, this and that, and we got to reach out. And that's why there will always be room for personal readings, because everybody's energetic system is like a different map. And what works for one person is not going to work for this person. Other person's going to trigger them because we have to go do this first, and then we can go there, and then we can come to here. And so it takes time and it takes effort, but it can be done. And once you understand that you yourself can keep things simple by not waiting for outcomes, by not shrouding what you're doing in all this idea of like, oh, it's esoteric, it's religious, it's spiritual, it's mystical. We don't need all that. That's total drama. All right. So wherever you are right now, just takes some grounding, an idea in your head, like, wow, I'm interested. A desire to have an open heart. Cool. Like with my heart, hey, you in there? Like, look at her. She's so cute. She's like, hey, you in there? And, and trust. What's the trust? The trust is my creator. Just jump to the creator. And we don't know what the creator is, who, what, where, when, why, how, they eat, whatever. We don't care, right? Wherever I came from, it has to be love. Because when you already have that idea about your creator, I came from somewhere, and it has to be love. That's it. Not, oh, but it has to be love, and maybe I've fallen short, drama, get rid of it. I have a creator, the creator loved me, or wanted me, or whatever, enough that I'm existing. I am loved because I exist. That's even a condition, right? I'm lovable because I exist. Hey, I'm here. You guys may not like it, but I'm here. So somebody somewhere liked it enough. And from where I'm sitting, you can barely make anything with your hands. So if someone was able to put me here and put you here, then maybe I should think about that. Or something, or some energy, or whatever. Maybe the universe or the field or whatever felt my energetic signature was so needed, or I just came to be. So why are we still having ideas about belonging and such, right? So you just keep it simple. I came from somewhere, someone somewhere, or something somewhere, or for whatever reason, I'm a part of this system, ecosystem, whatever, and so here I am. And well, I'm curious. I'm kind of curious. So, all right, show me something that can help me on my journey. It's not about anybody else. On my journey. And keep it simple. And give me a good show that I'd like. And the universe knows what you'd like. Trust it. But don't pump the universe with your fears and your limitations, because it's going to hear that. So that's why it's important. Keep it simple. Okay? And disconnect from the outcome. And then go about your business. All right. Anyway, before we go, what are these? Yep. Look at this. And we just say this. This is the I am card. Like, all right, let me know. I'm ready. Let's do it. And look at this. Wisdom. That's you. Wisdom. You're not wearing any special hat. You're not drinking from any goblet. You're not wearing a sash. You're not speaking a certain tongue. You don't need to know any discourse. You are as you are. If you needed a discourse, you would have been born with it. Like, you're just born. You got it. Everything is inside of you. Just, the question is, you could just think of yourself talking to a higher part of you. Hey, I'm ready. What's next? What's next for me? Boom. There it is. And then here, when these things are presented to you, remember that you may feel a little bit of a challenge or a little bit of a fear or whatever come up, because what's coming through you is light. And this light is a high frequency. And so when we have high frequencies and there are lower frequencies in the same pot, so to speak, the higher frequencies are going to make things vibrate faster. The lower frequencies will either have to, raise itself to kind of be there, or it's going to be flung out. And look, he's like, ah! So you're receiving, I don't feel so good. Ah! But then you put your foot down and you're like, listen, I know what this is. This is a process. I asked for my highest self. I asked for my next thing. And I guess my next thing meant I had to change jobs. Oh, well, okay, I'm here for it, and let's see. I'm going to trust, and, don't get cold feet. Don't get, what did they say, shrinking violet? Fluttery. Listen, universe, you said, so I'm going to trust you. So I'm going to trust that you're going to make sure my meals are covered, my health insurance, my everything, and because you're giving me this next step, you must have a plan. Somebody has to have a plan. And your plan is to roll with what comes and really stay as detached from an outcome, so you don't go ahead and structure the field for yourself, because your thoughts are creating these structures. So just don't think, this came in, let's deal with it. How does it feel? What do I want? Does it align? If not, then no. If yes, then let's see what else is out there. Can I have better? Like, this is just navigation. Anyway, I'm going to stop here because we can go on forever about this, and long story short, the month of August is going to be about paying special attention to your heart. It is advised and encouraged, God bless, that you stay in an observant position about what comes up for you, and use your mind to kind of process that if you'd like. Use some other modalities that may be presented to you. Call in your higher self, your angels, your guides. They're watching you watch this. They're watching me make this, and I'm feeling you watch me as I make this. So we're all here in the spiritual now moment in some way. And what else? And just keep it going. Drama free. Drama free. You want to use bells? Go for it. You want to use, what do you call those? Sound bowls. I love sound bowls. Oh my God. I want crystal bowls. But anyway, you can use that if you'd like. But don't make the mistake thinking that your power comes from those things. Because you having the belief that those make you more powerful and that your ritual makes you more powerful is literally just you putting your energy in a powerful way into something and then believing that it was that thing that made it wasn't. That's why in every good story with these things, the kid realizes, oh, it was never about the lucky coin ever. No, it never was. It's just you are projecting onto an outside item because you still have the belief that you're not good enough to affect what's going on. And I will say that there's a little bit of a movement of that going on in the tech world, and it always has been the case. So as we move into technology and innovation in this age and reform in many of those ways, please keep in mind that you are it. Okay? You are. That's it. And so anything that's outside of you will always just be an approximation and something that's outside of you to help or just whatever. But please do not make a mistake and think those things are better than you, or that they can ever replace you, because they cannot. It's your mindset that needs to expand so that you can see. All right, anyway, pieces. If you'd like to work more personally with me, we do, of course, energy healings, fun. We also do intuitive readings, and we do mentoring. I say we, it's just me and my guides. So I guess I don't know. We're out here. So you know where to find us. But until then, feel free to check in with all the videos that we do put out. And until then, God bless you, and do your best this month to be in your heart. Bye.